Hey guys, it's Kelly. I am up on the Crafty Maven channel today, and it is Sketch It Out Thursday, and I am using the sketch that just was up on the screen by Christine Davidson with Creative Scrappers, and it uses a free cut file from the Just Next store. So if you are interested in this, go ahead to the blog Creative Scrappers and you can find the post and also access to where you can get the cut file. So the mood board this week was a bunch of beautiful kind of rainbow sherbet colors. Lots of aqua, periwinkle, pink, yellow. So I knew that my Felicity Jane kit would be perfect. And I just thought that, with this chopstick pattern is what it's called, with the different colors, that it would somewhat resemble the mood board with the ombre leggings, and I just thought that this would be really cool. So I'm not going to show you everything that I do with backing the cut file because you would be bored to tears, but what I wanted to show you was I picked the one piece of paper that I really wanted to showcase on this, and it's that periwinkle floral. I just love that, and it's just, to me, it brought out some of the colors in the photos. So I wanted to make sure that I placed that piece of paper where I knew that I would see it and not get it covered up with either the title or journaling or embellishments. So that was how I decided where to start. And at this point, I'm just going through the different papers and trying to place them where the colors are balanced around the page. And with that pink polka dot, I am messing around with it. When I finally do cut it, it's gonna be to where you can see that there's polka dots on both sides. The way that it was spaced made it pretty tight, and I wanted you to be able to see the repetition of the pattern. So that's why I keep on going back to that. But in just a second, I will show you where I have finished all of the backing the files. And I then took it to the sewing machine and I just sewed some lines in between the lines, but not all of the lines, just horizontal lines. How many times can I say lines here? So I just showed you a close-up, and what I was only trying to do was just add a little bit more texture and visual interest to the cut file in the background without it taking up the heavy weight. And I just liked the way that the stitching does, and if you follow me or have followed me for a while, you know that I love stitching. So it's just one of those things that I will frequently do. So I'm going through my Felicity Jane kit. This is the very first layout that I'm making with this kit. I just got it a few days ago, and so I'm not exactly familiar with what I have, and it takes me sometimes a couple of days to really, or a couple of layouts to really get into it. And I'm just futzing around with it, trying to figure out, do I want some paper layers behind the photo? I thought that I did, but I knew that I didn't want a lot because there's so much going on with the cut file and with the patterns that I didn't want to take anything away from that. I wanted the cut file to be the star of the layout. So there are some of the cut apart sheets that come up with the kit, and I have a few of those that have already been cut when I was cutting the strips for the cut file. So I'm just trying to see what I can get to work without really having to cut too much of any of the fuller patterns of paper. So this heart was also from the cut apart sheet, and at first I was thinking I wanted the white border, but then I did trim it down a little bit and decided rather quickly to put it onto the white tag. And at that point I decided that I was going to build my own tag and use that Happy Days puffy sticker because I just thought that it would be a cute addition on top of the heart. So I take this strip of paper and then I take the tag over to my sewing machine and I sew that strip down, just again to bring some of the visual interest to the tag. and I put the heart on pop dots and then placed the sticker there. And you know, I don't know about you guys, but it makes me so happy when I can make an embellishment like that. I love pre-made embellishments. It makes the work of, you know, embellishing your layout a lot easier. But when I can come up with something like that fairly quickly, it just really makes me feel like I'm stretching my supplies and getting more bang for my buck. So I had to walk away for a minute because I couldn't figure out exactly what I wanted to do. And I came back and I had brainstormed about my title. I am notorious for struggling with my titles, and I decided about Once Upon a Time. And I chose that because it was a great entryway into the little bit of journaling that I wanted to include on the layout. And it's basically about how the biggest decision that the kids used to have to make was which of their character cups that they would have for dinner. You know, that was a big deal for my kids, and these 3 have recently been donated to Goodwill, but I wanted to get a picture of them before we set them off, just because it was just one of those little moments that I remembered, you know, especially my daughter. My son didn't really care. He had like a Thomas and a couple of hero cups, you know, between Spider-Man and Batman, and he would take any of them. But, you know, Emily would get set and she'd have to have strawberry shortcake or Care Bears, and, you know, there was a couple of others that we had, you know, Barbie and princesses, and you know, she would just go on a kick, and it's just so fun to remember these things. So that's what my journaling is about. It's just saying, you know, that I miss these days. So I'm taking some Ranger Multi Matte Medium, and I am gluing the sequins down, and I put 3 sequins down like as a dot, dot, dot right after my title to go into the journaling, and then I'm also using them around the page. And in the Felicity Jane kit, she had some vellum shapes. I think they're, you know, flowers, or scallop circles, whichever you want to call them. And I wanted to put those around the page as well. And I pulled some yellow twine from my stash to tie a bow. And I have found that if I tie my bow upside down, that my bows look better. So that's why I flipped it over and tied it upside down. And I decided for a little bit more of a whimsical factor that I would put my tag on an angle. I just felt like it really played upon the feel that I was going for. So in the Felicity Jane kit, I think I did say this, I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but it came with some of the sequins, and I am just going to put a few into the middle of the circle to make it more like the flower. And then I had a couple that I had cut just to see if I could tuck under the layers. My first thought was to do it with the cut file, but I didn't like the way that that looked just on this layout. So I wanted to go ahead and use those on the side of the photo just to add a little bit more visual interest to the photo. And if I had thought about it, you know, as I was looking at this, I felt like the layout needed framing, it needed completion, and if I had been thinking about it, the paper that I had cut the photo mat out of, I would have, you know, cut it out of the center and then been able to use the square part to frame my layout. But I didn't, and, you know, sometimes that's how we learn, is just, you know, doing things and then figuring them out as we go. So I do go ahead and I trim down the paper to 11.5 by 11.5, and I'm going to mount it on this pinky peach cardstock, and then I do take it over to my sewing machine and stitch around the edges. So that's it for me today. I have a bunch of stills at the end so you can see how the layout came together. Thanks so much for joining me, and be sure to check out the blog where you can find the sketch and the free cut file. I will see you guys soon. Take care. Bye.